Okay. Yeah. So briefly, for those who don't know, this app has been developed for Kaicycle. It started about 5 years ago, and Sheldon built it to kind of take over the reporting of and recording of the different inputs used, and to use it to try and learn what was working well with their compost and how to make it better. I think he had the vision from the start that it could be a broader way for these small local composting hubs to kind of share data and aggregate data to present to local and kind of national governments for funding, and to apply for different different funds or scale up. Yeah, so where can I start? Yeah, maybe I'll screen share. Hopefully I've got permission. Um, can you all see my screen? Yeah, great. So maybe I'll just walk you through the composter experience. You'd log in. We'll just enter the demo here. Um, and we're going to manage some compost. We can see the different hubs. So these could be different schools, or this is just a made up hub in Auckland. And we can say we've got a bunch of food scraps come in and we want to add some material to the bins. Here's the bins that we've added to recently that we're going to likely add to again. So let's put it in this bin. We can see it had an addition recently. There's some stats here about temperature, and when the things were recorded. It's saying it's 14 days till due, till the turn is due. And we can see this kind of approximate carbon to nitrogen ratio. Yeah, so let's go ahead and add some materials. It's just running a standard recipe. And here's our food waste input. We can just quickly add however much we've got. So we've got 96 kilos, and to balance this, the recipe we're using, it's just a simple like wood chip and food waste recipe. So we could balance this input with some wood chip. So let's record and observe. Yeah, it's pretty full now. We'll do a quick temperature check. It's not yet up to temperature. And yeah, say like we've got some composting compostable packaging in there. Check how this breaks down. And yeah, we've already marked the next turn. So yeah, if we could go in here, we'll see, oh yeah, we've got a note. We put in some food waste. I see the wood chip isn't in there. So this will be a little bug that I'll go away and fix now. This is the nature of these things. Yeah, so this is here's the temperature we recorded. Yeah, so it's just a way of giving you a record of what's happened in a batch. So this is a way of like, you've got all these batches and you can look at them and you can say, oh, this one's doing really well. Why did it do really well? Oh yeah, this is what happened. And this one is a bit smelly. Why is that? So if we go back to the hub, we say check bins to turn. We see we've got some bins that are marked for a turn. This one's overdue. This is just a made-up hub, so these aren't kind of accurate. But so we say, oh yeah, we need to go and turn some bins. And here's one that's not yet turned, and it's 14 days till it's due. Yeah, and not yet turned. There's some maybe some new bins that haven't been marked for turn. So maybe we're going to just check on those and see if they want to turn. Yeah, so this is, where are we? There's a few more. Yeah, you can start a batch here. You can just see all your bins on site. So say you've got these group called Maunga, and this is a group of bins here. So you can check on which batches are in the groups, sorry, which batches are in which bins, and see any empty bins here as well. Yeah, that's it from kind of on site, walking around with your phone, kind of making additions and recording observations. And then this is the kind of reporting side of it. So you can see this is the basic reporting. So it's got your organization, and by month how many food scraps you've saved and how much compost you've made. The CO2 is a work in progress, and you can see it's already also aggregating regionally. Yeah, there's no one else doing it in Wellington yet, so this is just a rounded version of this. But you can see that we're aggregating nationally as well. There's some more folk who are starting to use this. Yeah, and there'll be some international folk as well using it soon. Yeah, so this is the kind of, yeah, we've also developed some hub reporting. Yeah, so this is like each input per month, per hub. So yeah, if you need individual hub reporting, this is it. And this is a bit of a work in progress. So we're kind of working with folks just around what they need to see here for their reporting. Yeah, that's yeah. So we've got some team things here. Yeah, just a few settings, but that's probably the majority of it. We've got this customers segment here, which Kaicycle is using to manage all their subscriptions and manage their income, which I think is around 10,000 a month from people paying for food scrap delivery or collection services. So that's all managed through here, including the onboarding. So users sign up through another site. Yeah, and it's connected to Xero for them to manage the invoicing, but we haven't quite well, that's not quite ready for other organizations yet, but we're working on that. That's it in a nutshell. There's a few more bits, but maybe I can open to questions and answers.
I've got a quick question. When you're inputting it on your phone in the moment, is one thing, but what if you end up noting it down and you want to put it in the next day? Can you actually backdate it? Like, can you be putting it in the next day, but say Monday I put in this? Yeah, okay. Is that easy enough to work out?
Yeah, it's you can do all that stuff from here. Sorry, where are we? And you can do this all from your computer as well. So say we wanted to add some material. Oh yeah, there's a date here. So you could say,
oh yeah,
this happened. Yeah.
Cool.
We need to keep track of who we're picking up from as well. I was just wondering if we could use this app for that purpose also, if there's somewhere we can put like, 90 kilos from oyster and say as an input.
Yeah, that's a good question. Like that's something that has been requested by others as well. There's not currently a way of doing that. But yes, if that's a requirement, yeah, we're kind of managing the development priorities. But if that's a need for you as well, then that we can bump that up the priority and make it happen sooner.
I mean, it would help us because otherwise we'll need to double report for ourselves for invoicing and then for this for the data. So yeah.
Yeah.
In the meantime, would it solve the problem by naming a particular feedstock by the customer? So Joe's Cafe food scraps and Fred's restaurant food scraps as the input types, and then be able to drag out a total per month or something like that by input.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah.
It would be possible. It depends on how many inputs you have that we need to track them. If you've got like 3 or 4, that would be manageable. If you've got like 50, maybe we
Right.
need to find a different solution. Yeah, nice thinking, Tim.
Yeah. Yeah, can you also rename different kinds of carbon that you're putting in? Because we like to keep track of, yeah, just to see which recipe works best. Like if it's leaf litter or
Yeah.
wood chip.
Yeah, so yeah, so we've got all these different inputs that we've got some data on. So yeah, so you can just copy one of these, and if I was talking to the donut economic folk the other day, and they were looking for yeah, I managed to find the kind of composition of this. But also if you've got something that isn't on here and it isn't found, you can take something that you think is a close approximation and rename it. So you can where are we? Yeah. So you can take, say, grass, yeah, I'm not sure, like roadside clippings or something, and you could take a copy of this. Where are we? Oh, we've got heaps of inputs here. Grass clippings. Yeah, and we could edit this and say roadside clippings, and say like estimate based on grass clippings. Yeah, and we're gonna say oh, actually, like there's a bit more. I think there's a bit more there's a bit more wood in a bit less kind of fresh green matter. So we can save that as an estimate and use it, and if we get better data on it in future, we can edit it and update the data.
I'm just thinking about the subscriptions, Pete, and the awesome link that you've made with EHA. I know in Tamaki we're looking at grouping hubs together to potentially get funding for the subscription with the app. And is that something that EHA might be able to do with its members that are interested in using the app? Anna?
Yeah.
So you mean like a buyers group kind of thing? So, or is it just so it would be a discount? Is that the kind of idea, or just to simplify it with one payment?
I think maybe it would be finding the funding to filter through to the EHA members for the subscription.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely something I can bring up for sure.
Yeah. And yeah, we're really like understanding that like funding comes in funny forms, and yeah, happy to kind of work with work with what you've got in terms of length, and yeah, happy for that to be a conversation.
Hey, does it I know a while back I think you mentioned that it can link to Xero.
That would be great.
Yeah. So at the moment, yeah, so there's at the moment, as a customer can sign up, we've got a kind of customer flow where they sign up to a particular service. So as an organization, we can create different plans that have different prices, residential prices, business prices, and then customers can sign up via a website to one of those plans. And then there's a kind of button that just is like create this customer in Xero, create this customer in Xero, and then helps with the invoicing of that. So yeah, but yeah, we're kind of yet to roll, like open that out further than Kaicycle, but that is what Kaicycle is currently using.
Cool. Any other questions or any other things you want to go over on the app, Pete?
Yeah, not off the top of my head. I guess like to share with the folk who we've been on traveling with for a while, Tim and Stephanie. Yeah, just that I guess we've been making some changes, incorporating some changes from feedback. So it should be different and better than how it was for you last time. Yeah, and I guess just the kind of, this is how we work, is we're just trying to talk to people and find out what's useful, and prioritize that and build the most useful stuff for Aotearoa and the world soon. Yeah. So yeah, I guess just from me while I'm here, like I'm the kind of point person. So you can like book a call with me, email me, or the kind of contact us stuff goes to me from the website. So I'm really happy to hear from any of you all if you've got further questions or ideas, or if you get stuck on something or something like it's not working how you think it should. Yeah.
Cool, thanks. And I think we had Kate, you joined us just after we did intros, but I don't know if you have anything you want to add or say hi or whatever.
Yes, kia ora koutou. I'm so sorry for coming on so late. That's very embarrassing. I had my head in spreadsheets and completely lost track of time. And thank you so much, Anna, for pulling this call together. It's great to have the opportunity to share a bit more about what we've been working on. And yeah, we're really hoping that this app will be really useful for a whole bunch of composters around the country. And yeah, I was my part was meant to be kind of explaining a little around kind of where the app came from and why Kaicycle started developing it in the first place and how it's useful for us. Does that still feel like a useful thing for me to go over to people? Okay, awesome, thank you. Yeah, and again, so sorry to get the order, make the order wrong. So I guess quite some time ago, a lot of you will know of Sheldon, who used to be one of the Kaicycle team and is now working, set up Vagabond Veggie, which is a regenerative market garden in Wairanapa, which is really cool. Check it out if you haven't already. So he started building this as kind of a response to, how do we get more composting happening in the city? And originally his concept was more like share waste. And then of course share waste was already happening with the compost collective. So then kind of pivoted towards what Kaicycle needed. At the time, we were quite small and we were keeping all our, we were making compost and we were tracking, what batch was where, when it was last turned, what we added, when we last watered it, etc. But we just found that this record keeping, on paper, at the farm where we were making compost and then trying to put it into spreadsheets later was just not working. We'd just lose the paper, it would get damaged, and we're not tracking data very well at all. So this app really helps us to capture that data of what we're collecting from our customers, what's going into our compost piles. We turn all our compost piles, so they change locations constantly, which becomes a real logistical challenge of tracking what batch was started when, what went in, what's its life story essentially. So that enables us to track the life story of each batch much more effectively, as well as this kind of total data of how much food waste we're processing, how long it takes us to make a batch on average, depending on the season, how much water we need to put in. Not that we're necessarily tracking how much water, but we can take notes throughout the composting process. And if a batch goes really well, we can look back and say, oh, what did we do in that batch? Let's replicate more of that. Or like Pete was saying, oh, this is a bit smelly. What potentially went wrong here? Looking back through observations. So it's helping us to improve our composting processes over time. And if we can also, with this app and with multiple composters using it around the country, and sharing kind of our data and experiences, that potentially helps us all move towards, what does best practice composting look like in our kind of scales and situations, so that we can do more and do better and increase our impact. So essentially this app is a really great way to replace a whole bunch of paper and spreadsheets with something that's streamlined and actually useful and user-friendly, so that it actually does get used and we can actually get that data. And having that data is not just useful for us to learn, but to measure our metrics and impact when we go to apply for funding applications, etc. yeah, we've also got that customer facing side. That's really useful. And again, yeah, not quite there yet, but we're working on it. It's a way for anyone around the country to sign up, that kind of express their interest in localized composting, and then potentially get matched with a local hub if there is one available. And the idea is that it's a global waitlist, so any user of the app can access that full waitlist and actually go and reach out to those customers and say, hey, we're setting up a hub, are you interested? This is our price. So an easy way to kind of get that market validation and get new hubs up and running. And even, even if we don't have a hub up and running, we've been able to say Kaicycle's had, nearly 1,000 waitlist, entries since 2018. And that's really powerful when you go for funding, because a lot of funding does say, what's your market? How have you validated it? So that's been really useful data for us, and hopefully will be for others as well. So yeah, it's been really useful, and especially with the work that's Pete and Sheldon have done on the app this year, just been super cool to see it grow, and it has become a really, really useful tool for us, and hopefully it will be for others as well. Does anyone have any questions on kind of that kind of bigger picture stuff?
Yeah. So this is the view of some of the customer kind of view. This is all the red dots and numbers are the folk who have expressed interest. So there's the uninvited people who are like, oh, I'd like this service, bring it to me. And the blue are the ones that have been invited, but haven't yet actually joined. Yeah, and I can, at this level of Zoom, I could share. Yeah. On green underneath this is the kind of subscriptions. So you can see it, you can kind of add them. You can invite people that are close to the routes you're currently running. Yeah, so this is, you'll see the invited folk are the folk close to the routes already run. And then you can see, I guess maybe there wants to be a hub over here, or if we're looking at opening new hubs, maybe this kind of region is ready for its own hub. So that's some of the kind of information from this data.
I do have a question, probably quite a silly one. So is this app more for like bigger organization, like hubs? Like, can it apply to like household compost bin?
Anyone can use it, and
Okay.
it's free at that very small scale. So if someone was really wanted to geek out about making great compost in their
Yeah,
backyard,
because I feel
they
like
can use it. Yeah.
how I think just now when you show the screenshot, it does tell you that, oh, you are putting a lot of, let's say, food waste, and then they recommend you to put some wood chip. I think that would be very helpful for somebody that is just starting to do a compost bin and doesn't really know whether if they're doing it right, and whether if they're putting the right thing and what they can do to make it better. So it's okay to apply to. Okay.
Yeah, I think I guess to know, like, it's been developed around folk who have to be set up by folk who have some experience in composting, and then to be usable by like volunteers who maybe have less experience. So like, I guess there might be a bit of a, like, to get set up, you need to like select your inputs, and which should be possible for local folk, but I guess it's just not been tested yet how easy it is for them to kind of start using it. But in theory, yeah, and it'll be, there's a whole, I guess, like it's been developed for, I guess, for helping, like, particularly for helping like small to medium scale composting organizations kind of grow and improve. But there is the whole like education, like what you're saying, I think speaks a bit to the kind of education side, which I'm aware there are a bunch of schools that might want to use it, and that's a different, maybe that's a direction we could develop it in as well. It just it probably depends a bit on funding, a bit on what's easy to how the other need kind of coherent as it grows. So continue. I'd love to see it being a part of education as well, if that's possible.
Cool, thank you.
Cool. Sweet. Well, if there's nothing else on the app specifically, I mean, yeah, we'll put your contact details, Pete, in the kind of minutes or whatever, and then we'll just steer them your way if they've got any questions about it or anything. And yeah, I'll have a chat to Tash about a potential EHA collaborative membership or whatever that looks like.
Yeah, great. Yeah, and Kaylee, maybe we can have a chat about your kind of needs around the recording customer or yeah, inputs from different people.
Cool. All right, Kristen, do you want to do your ACN presentation?
There you go. I was just saying, feel free to jump in at any time, other ACN members, if I've missed something. But yes, so when I saw the call out that Anna put out for EHA members to join a compost group, we jumped on a Zoom to just talk a little bit about. Is Anna still here? She's gone. Yeah. Yeah, to talk about ACN and how we can bring in EHA members into what we're doing in the space. So ACN is Aotearoa Compost Network. So I just put together a little presentation. Can you see my screen?
No, put this one there.
Okay. So Aotearoa Composters Network. I'm just going to roll through kind of how we are at where we are and what we do. But in a nutshell, it's a big, beautiful network of passionate composters across the country who are joining together, creating a movement, sharing resources, sharing knowledge, and it's a really exciting space to be in. And yeah, we welcome anyone that's interested in composting, community composting. And yeah, so this is a bit of the journey to where we are. This is lots of little dates that have happened throughout time that have helped us to get where we are. So we've got things like MFE, Sustainable Kaipara, putting in, got MFE funding for their compost assessment feasibility studies, and we've had MFE support multiple hub establishment in Northland and in different places around the country. And as those things happen, more people get connected. And so around 2021, I think, or maybe even earlier, a WhatsApp group was formed. That's probably the first networking piece to our puzzle, and people started communicating through WhatsApp. Then in 2022, a whole bunch of us were together at the EHA and the Zero Waste Network, strengthening the communities Hui. And we decided to have a little breakout session one night and got together, and I think that there was probably about 50 of us in the room, and we started planning and scheming to how we could connect together and form a network. So out of that session there was working groups formed, and they started chipping it away at what our priorities were and what our next steps would be. And one of those main priorities was for us to have a united vision, and that our vision was created collaboratively. together so that it had all of our voices. So we held a series of 3 workshops over about a month, where we workshopped together on Zoom. We had a kaupapa working group that would bring in all of the ideas and things from everybody and workshop it. And at the end, we were able to produce our living vision document. And it tells you who we are. So we're a network of composters who are individuals and organisations who support communities, businesses, households and institutions to compost their food scraps and organics. We help our local communities and ecosystems to flourish through localised organic resource recovery and composting. We have a vision of thriving communities across Aotearoa living with an abundance of healthy soils and food. We're on a mission to empower change towards circular systems through active composting partnerships and resilience education throughout Aotearoa and abroad. So this is a really beautiful document that I think we're all very proud of. It is based in honouring Te Tiriti and working on our local partnerships with iwi and hapu and yeah. So we have some strategic goals for what we like to call our ingredients or our recipe for our vision compost, and they are partnership. They fall under partnership, rapid systemic change, education, and well-being. Yeah, those are our kind of founding documents. One of the reasons why we wanted to do this was because as a network and a collective, we can work together to do things like bring in funding and partner with other organisations. And so we have been, Joe has been working with our amazing funding working group on a beautiful piece of work called Whakahaumanu Hini Ahu One, which is our partnership with Parakorea Te Waka Kaiora and Zero Waste Network. And so together we have gone in for a application with NFE, and so it's a Te Tiriti based initiative fostering small to medium organics diversion and composting enterprises across Aotearoa. And yes, so these are our partners, and the aim is to divert 8,000 tonnes of waste in 100 newly developed sites over 4 years. So that's a work in progress, and yeah, it's something that we're really proud of as a network. So what do we do in the network? With lots of different things. We I'll get into exactly how we communicate in the next slide, but lots of things fall out of it. We have regional arms, so the Tāmaki Makaurau Composters Network was established this year as an arm of the major network, and we're encouraging other regions to do the same. We have a schools arm of ACN, which is rangatahi led, and it connects with teachers and students. And we do things like share the Ben and Bertha film with our communities, share each other's stories and resources. So how we function. So we have a monthly group online hui. It's in the evening times because everyone else is out composting during the day. We have an annual in-person hui, so that's what we're aiming for this year. Hopefully it will be around the same time as the Iha and Zero Waste hui, if not in that hui.
Yeah, I can jump in there if you want. So we are talking about as one of the afternoons having the opportunity for groups like ACN, and I know Repair Cafe wants to do a similar thing, so we're definitely considering that in the agenda. Cool,
amazing, love it. Yep, so we aim to have an annual in-person hui each year. It's really important to connect face to face. We communicate through Slack, so if you're interested in jumping into Slack, we have lots of different channels going on there, and we have an informal WhatsApp group. We have a Facebook page and a website, a wonderful website that Joe's put together, and then we have been running a Waste to Wonder series that Steph's been organising, which has been getting our experts to come and do presentations for us. And so we've had Ben talking about Bertha, we've had City to Farm, we've had Tim talking about carbon cycle, we've have coming up. Steph, what have we got coming up?
We've got Daniel from Glenorchy talking about his project down there, and we've also got Jonathan again coming to talk about his research.
And then we also are looking to have a compostable packaging one to finish up the year in October. So that will be really interesting. Yeah, so if any EHA members would like to jump on board with ACN, just get in touch. There is lots of ACN members already in. EHA members already in ACN. So yeah, it'd be great to kind of build on those relationships too.
Cool. Thanks, Kristen. Yeah, hopefully we'll put out that this has been recorded and people can have a look at that. And maybe if you send me that presentation, I can share that around too. And maybe get some more interest at the Hui as well. But yeah, thanks a lot for sharing, and Pete and Kate as well for going through your app. Yeah, has anyone got any other questions or final comments, or we're all happy? So